Alrighty, good morning. This is Monday Morning Coffee with Kyle and Ann. I am Ann Rossley. Here with me is Kyle Harvey. We're both with the Baird Warner Gold Coast office, and we get together weekly to talk about real estate in Chicago. We work primarily downtown, and we also get out and about throughout the neighborhoods and the suburbs, but downtown's really our focus and what we like to talk about. Today, we are going to talk about co-ops versus condos. What's a co-op and why would I want one anyway? Well, we're going to talk about that. But before we get that, we're going to get to the stats. You ready to get to the stats?
I sure am.
All right. So I wanted to show you this slide because I keep talking about our market area. And Kyle, you're very familiar with this. These are the census tract neighborhoods of Chicago. You've heard that Chicago has 77 neighborhoods. Here they are. We've talked about median sales price, and I'm not going to belabor it. We are up. We're at $439,000 for both condos and single families in the area that you just saw. Closed sales through February, up 24% versus the February before. And closed sales for 12 months rolling through end of February was only down 2%, which is pretty darn good considering we had COVID challenges in 2020.
Huge.
Properties under contract in February were down 11.8%. However, that's versus February of 2020, and you can see that was way above 2019. And a good part of that was because of the lack of inventory. And you see the chart here where we are down in number of properties for sale. In fact, down 19% versus February of the year before. This chart breaks out how many days does it take to get a contract? Well, the market is so strong right now that this is a median number, bear in mind, but it's if you're under $1 million, it's going to take 16 to 17 days on average. Keep in mind, you have to be priced right to be getting those numbers. But what that basically means is 2 weeks to get a contract. If you are $1 million or more, it's going to be 24 to 28 days. Think about it as a month to get a contract.
But that is lightning fast right now.
That is, because remember, that's a median number. So that means it's lightning fast.
Lightning fast. And the ones that are selling fast are the ones that are priced right, as we keep telling you guys. Okay.
Yep. It's like an old broken record. This I thought was interesting. This is from Showing Time. This says that to get a contract on average, it takes 7 showings if you're under $1 million and 9 showings if you're over. Again, it's just an average, but somebody was asking me, what should I expect?
Well, let's just pause. Let's pause. The way you get showings is to be priced right. I'm such a broken record. Okay, so for example, I went live with a listing on Monday of last week. Yes, it was Glenview, but it was Monday last week. We were under contract by Monday night.
Yeah.
We after that was the second showing. I had 4 showings, all of which would have given me contracts, but we were under contract.
Right.
I'm telling you that the only way to get showings is to be priced right.
Yeah.
In this market, that gets you showings, and then that gets you a contract.
Okay, here's a question for you. You went on last Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got all those contracts right away.
Mm-hmm.
What day did you mark it as AI in the computer, as pending?
Right away. I don't mess around. I do. Okay. I don't mess around because, one, the MLS doesn't technically allow us to mess around, and two,
But was it Wednesday? Was it Tuesday?
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Tuesday.
So that's still 2 days. Oh, Tuesday. Okay.
I think I did it as soon as. Well, first of all,
my point is it probably registered as 2 days market time.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, certainly, because they it's almost like 2 days on the day you list.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people who will not mark it as under contract until, I don't know when they do it. And I've bullied, for example, this house that my clients have bought in West Ridge.
Yeah.
they weren't going to put it under contract. I'm like, put it under, it's under contract.
Exactly.
I didn't want somebody swooping in and outbidding them. And then,
right. Or playing games.
Yeah. I'm like, don't show it and don't put it under and show it under contract. Go
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm playing with the map here, showing the, this is for condominiums, median sales price. And this was a kind of a fun number. Near North is 405. I am theorizing that's because there are more studios.
Is this price per square foot?
No. Median sales price.
Oh, okay.
For condos. But I think it's because Near North has more studios. What do you think? And if you get out in some of these, they're more 2 bedrooms. I just thought it was interesting that Westtown was higher than Near North.
I think it's Near North has 1 bedrooms and studios.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why. Okay. So then single families, Lincoln Park is the leader at 1.6 with Near North and South Loop at 1.4. I just thought it was interesting to see how that goes out. And month supply, this is an error, apologies, 5.5 months, not percent. And then this is the month supply by neighborhood. We've been talking about this forever, not a surprise. These Avondale, Albany Park are so small. And again, that's because it's single family homes are a low price point there. I want to share with you, if I could, my brother is looking for a house in Cincinnati and he sent me this video. Okay. This is the frustration that's out there.
This is insane. We are not going back in.
Oh my gosh. Is that the line?
That's the line.
All these cars here are here for one reason alone.
Hold on, I can't see them yet.
Open house line. Oh my
For
God.
one open house that just opened half an hour ago, 40 minutes ago. You have to pan right to see all the people's waiting.
And they're all just waiting to go in and see it. It's like a freaking parade of homes for one house.
This is the ridiculousness that's going on right now.
That's the ridiculous that's going on right now.
Oh my God. I feel so bad for those people.
Well, here it is. I hooked him up with a great agent over there who's got an inside track.
Good.
It's not a done deal yet, but they have found a house that hasn't hit the market yet. And I think they're going to be good to go. But they've been struggling. So, I mean, we talk about a fast market here in some parts of the country. It's insane.
Yeah. And we bought a house. My clients and I found them a house and went under contract, sight unseen.
Yeah. Yeah. You told me that story. That was smart. It was great the way you guided them.
No, but it's you need a broker to help you do this in this kind of market, especially.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to talk about co-ops and condos today. Kyle, you want to share your screen and show us what?
Happily. So co-ops, I've shown here 3 pictures of what co-ops look like. So you can't. A lot of people think that co-ops are just these grand dame old buildings that are vintage, a certain kind. But as you see, co-ops come in all shapes and sizes. So
Yep, they do.
Yep, they do. And so what is a co-op? So a co-op is short for cooperative. And the main difference between co-ops and condominiums really is the way that the building was set up originally to finance the construction. So co-ops are an old-fashioned way, cooperatives are an old-fashioned way, old-fashioned meaning they did it in the 20s, and before, to finance by creating a corporation and selling shares in the corporation. And those shares in the corporation finance the building's construction, and the shareholders got leases, long-term leases.
That's before the whole idea of condominium ownership came into play in the 70s, which was a big deal when Invesco was doing their conversions and all of that. If you're doing a condominium, it's a developer that will build it, sell it out, as opposed to the homeowners financing it. But
yeah, and a lot of those developers, depending on the loan, will build it originally as apartments, rentals,
Right.
and then flip it. You've heard that expression, flipping it to condominium. And some of those flips, most of those flips work, and some of them don't really work. I'm thinking of 2 West Delaware, a really nice building,
Yeah.
but never was able to sell out. And it's still got a lot of rentals.
Right.
Only a few condos. I think they keep flipping back and forth. Anyway, but some cooperatives become condominium, but it's very expensive and difficult to do. So they stay as co-ops. Now, what are the main differences to you or me as a homeowner living in a co-op? So because you own shares in a corporation, the corporation is the one that gets the property tax. So the property tax is for the whole building, not for your particular unit. And then the corporation splits up among shares the tax bill. So you get a number of shares based on the size of and location of your apartment, just like you would in a condominium. And then you get allotted that portion of the tax bill to you, and you pay it every month in your assessment. So I pay my taxes. I live in a condo. I pay my taxes twice a year. When I get the tax bill, begrudgingly pay it. No. But in a co-op, you pay a monthly portion every month, and so they always those assessments feel so much higher because you got $500 extra or $600 depending on the co-ops. Maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's $2,000 extra to pay for the taxes.
Right.
So
the other thing to be said here too, Kyle, if I can interrupt for 1 second, is because there's only one tax bill, if any one of the leaseholders, tenants, defaults on their monthly payment of taxes, the other owners in that co-op have to pay for them.
Yes.
So it's not like in a condominium where somebody can just go belly up and it just, they go their merry way. Everybody else is on the hook for their neighbors.
And that sort of explains why there is such a to-do about interviewing people to become parts of co-ops, to buy into a co-op, because the board wants to make very sure you can pay that monthly assessment so that the rest of them don't have to pay it. Right. So that is, you're absolutely right. There is an additional slight risk that you will have to pay more. Now, you will also get, as I mentioned, a lease instead of a deed to your unit. And as a result, lenders tend to not want to lend to, provide a mortgage for a co-op because it is riskier. You get shares in a corporation and, the bank can't just sell those shares to anybody. They have to go through this whole process. It's just much more complicated. So you will find that if you get a mortgage, and now co-ops are much more allowing people to finance their purchases, you're going to pay a higher interest rate.
But they will, right, it'll be a higher interest rate. Not every lender will provide financing for the co-op, and every building has its own rules. So some co-ops require 100% financing, 100% down, 100% payment. Others will let you go 30% down payment if you can find a lender to do it. And as Kyle said, it's going to be a higher rate.
Well, some of the fanciest co-ops, and I mean, some of the fanciest co-ops now allow up to 50% financing, which is unheard of. Before, they would not allow a dime. But what people would do is they would buy it with cash and then they'd go get a loan because they wouldn't have to tell them.
Personal loan of some kind, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is when they interview some of these co-ops, I'm told, I haven't been through the process myself, but I'm told that they have kind of a guideline for if you buy a co-op, say for $1 million, they expect, and I'm talking about the fancier ones, they expect you to have 2 to 3 times the value of that purchase in other assets. They don't want you to be house poor.
Yes, absolutely. Because again, they're worried that you're not going to be able to pay the monthly assessment. and taxes. So let's take a look at some co-ops. We've got here 880 North Lakeshore Drive.
Mies van der Rohe.
It's a Mies van der Rohe, a design building. This is on the National Registry of Historic Places, and I believe, and Anne, confirm this if you know, this is the building. So there are 3 or 4 of these buildings right on Lakeshore Drive, and some allow different windows. Some allow, thicker glass. I believe this one, you have to stick to the building materials that would have been available to the builder at the time. So this one, but it's a beautiful building. This one sells for a bit less than one might think, living smack on Lakeshore Drive in a Ludwig Mies van der Rohe building.
Right.
So this is a 1-bedroom, a good size one, 834 square feet. You're going to see here, so the taxes and HOA are $1,454.55. There is no in-unit washer dryer, and parking is $330 a month, which is a sort of hefty amount of parking. And the cool thing about Mies buildings is all of the walls are movable. The structure is built so that there are very few supports, except the elevator shafts and the exterior. So you can move walls, you can do anything you want, except you've just got the plumbing and the
risers, right?
Yeah. So here, this one has been redone, sort of cool, beautiful. Nice big open space, as you can see. It's a city view, but I sort of love being smack in the middle of everything. And you can see that they've chosen to have, this is the entrance to the bedroom, have that be open, a nice deep entrance. I think there's probably some built in. I thought the bathroom was I could not have that be my sink. I just want to state that for the record, but you could change it out.
Yeah.
So this is the place. Now, interestingly, you could put an office in this foyer. Look how big that foyer is. It's a nice 1-bedroom apartment. So,
right.
Okay, so that's an example of a mid-century co-op. Now here's a more vintage co-op. This was built in 1929. It's a Robert de Golyer designed elegant vintage building. Robert de Golyer is one of the classic 20s and 30s architects working in Chicago. And it's a beautiful vintage building on the corner of Elm and Lakeshore Drive. This is unit 8A. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,800 square feet with lots of lake views. Now you will see that the HOA and taxes are, about $3,200 a month. But they have staff. They have, as did the Mies van der Rohe building, but the Mies van der Rohe building had a lot more units than this one. So, but this is a mid-sized building with round-the-clock staff, and that's what makes it expensive. Also, to maintain an older building, expensive. But it's right on the lake, just like 880. Beautiful. So look at nice, big, elegant living room, dining room. I love the butler's pantry. They've kept that, and it looks, with their upgraded kitchen, but it's got sort of this little bit more classic, old-timey feel. Big rooms. Look at that lake view right out of the bedrooms. And one of the gracious things about living at 1120 is there are for elevators, it's just you and another unit. So there are 6 units per floor, but each elevator is there may be 5 units per floor. It's A, B, C, D, E, and F, I think. And some floors have fewer because they've combined units. But it is it's really private. The building drops off your mail at your door. It's just a very elegant way of living. And I thought this was cute. This is their workout room. Look, they've done this nice city skyline mural. I thought that was sort of pretty. And then here's a much more modern building. This is one I love. 432 West Grant Place. So right near Parker School, for those of you who know Lincoln Park. It is, there are 2 units for sale, but I thought I'd give you a picture of Unit 2W. It's on the market for $3.2 million, and it's a big unit, 4,300 square feet, 3 beds, 3.5 baths. There are only 7 units in this building, and yet the HOA and taxes are pretty reasonable. The tax bill is $1,200 a month, and the HOA is $1,600. And that's because I don't think they have much staff at all. I think they outsource the exterior maintenance, and other than that, they pretty much are on their own. This unit has balcony and patio, and they all share the roof deck, and it has 3 parking spaces in a neighborhood that has almost no parking. So again, the cool thing is lots of outdoor space. So look at how pretty, look at, trees. Pretty soon we're gonna have leaves on our trees, people.
Yes, we are.
I thought that was an interesting, creation of a wall that's not really a wall, but it looks like it's a hanging screen of some kind. It looks great. Modern kitchen. I love this bathroom, so I thought I'd share that with you. Pretty, this is the common sun deck. This is their private patio. And that's it, people. That's all I got.
Very nice. All right. So I picked
Yes.
3 going from low to high. I've always kind of liked 1350 Astor. I think it gives you a chance to have a nice unit for a fair price.
It's like under the radar, totally under the radar.
Oh yeah, but it's in the Gold Coast. I just love that setting. 380,000.
60. It says 60.
Okay, my glasses. And the assessments, including the taxes on this one, are $1,392 per month, which is totally reasonable. So bear with me. I need to pull this up. Okay. And it's got a lake view.
Yeah, that's a cutie.
Isn't that nice? I mean, the kitchen's open to the living room. So that's that one. Pretty straightforward. I wanted to show an iconic building, one everybody recognizes. This is 999 Lakeshore, right on the corner of Inner Lakeshore Drive and East Lakeshore Drive, just as you make the bend. Benjamin Marshall Building. And look at that. Isn't that fun? Overlooking the water there. This is a very traditional co-op.
Look at that. Look
Isn't
at
that fun?
Yeah. Ceiling. Wow.
So you're in your library, but you can still look out over the water. Very traditional in the bedroom here. And then the last one I wanted to show you is the most expensive in the city right now. And a lot of people are aware of this property. I know you know it, Kyle. It's at 1500 Lakeshore, one of the most prestigious co-ops in the city. $17 million is all you have to pay, and $8,200 a month.
But you can finance up to half. Yeah.
You get a yard on the roof with a big fountain that overlooks. Look at that.
With heart-shaped.
Edward Scissorhands has been here to create the topiaries. But look at that.
Great.
I mean, this is what people generally think of, isn't it? When they think of co-ops, they think of these grand, and as we've shown you today, it's not just all that. There are some very contemporary properties. Look at that with the vaulted ceiling.
My God.
Isn't that a riot? Look at that. I love that view.
And I think he'd throw in the tiger rug.
If you pay full price.
Yeah.
Look at this. And the winding staircase up. That's the view up to that little loggia.
See, here's the problem, though.
What's that?
You pay $17 million, and then you got to gut it.
You mean you wouldn't live with your home like this?
No, I wouldn't.
And here's the master. And I find it interesting. You've got the lake view, but your head is facing away from the lake.
I mean, my God.
But you've got the doorway out to the terrace here. So anyway, so that's that. And then I wanted to bring up one more thing before we go. In a nutshell, co-ops versus condos. Okay. So in Chicago, condos, and now this is just the near north area. The average price per square foot for a condo in 8008, the near north neighborhood, is $404. The average price per square foot for co-ops that sold was $383. And having just looked at that $17 million co-op, you might say, well, gosh, that surprises me. I would think that the price would be higher. But over time, what's happened is because financing isn't as readily available, because you have to apply to get in, because you own shares, and there are just so many differences. And sometimes there's smaller buildings with high staff, which also add to that assessment amount. So over time, what's happened is, and we talk to our sellers about this too, if your assessments are high and your taxes are high, the only thing that can give is the price of the property itself. So that's what's happened. Market times are higher on co-ops. So again, you have to lower your price to be more attractive to the public. So co-ops in general are cheaper than condos on a square foot basis. I just read something that said New York, 75% of the units there are co-ops. In the near north neighborhood here in Chicago, they only account for 2% of the high-rise housing stock. I thought that was an interesting.
That is an interesting stat, yeah.
Yeah. Ownership. In a condominium, you own from the drywall in, plus a share of the common elements. You own shares of corporation or a beneficial interest in the co-op. With a condominium, some buildings have a right of first refusal. This was more prevalent when condos first came out. I don't know if that's because they were trying to be like co-ops. That's not so much the case anymore, but it's a more difficult process to get into a co-op. And if you own a business, oftentimes you have to show your business assets as well as your personal assets as you go through the approval process. You need letters of recommendation and so forth. Conventional financing on condos, you can put as little as 3% down sometimes. But when you buy a co-op, it could be 25, 30, or 50% required. And of course, they prefer you to put all cash. And then the other thing we didn't mention is a lot of them have transfer fees. Like Kyle was showing 1120 Lakeshore. They require a transfer fee, a percent of the purchase price that goes to the building that goes into their reserves every time a property transfers. With a condominium, the buildings will each have rules about rent caps. So they might say no,
or not.
What's that?
Some don't. Mine doesn't.
Not every condominium building does have a rent cap.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Whereas co-ops often just say you can't rent your unit out. Yeah. So that's another difference. Something to think about if you're very concerned about risk, like what happens if I get transferred or I change careers. You can't just say, oh, I'll rent out my unit until the market gets better. You can't do that with a co-op. We've talked today about co-ops in the near north neighborhood, but there are co-ops everywhere from Hyde Park all the way up to Edgewater. So please don't think that just in Lincoln Park and the near north neighborhoods co-ops are around. They're throughout the city. And, here's the thing. I have found, and I think, Kyle, you have as well, that they're a particularly good opportunity for people who are downsizing. If you're selling your house and you want to go to a building downtown where you can walk to a lot of things, you've got good staff in the building, it's cheaper per square foot. You just, need to pay for your taxes and assessments. And the building taxes are actually often less. It could be a really good opportunity to get in a property that's less on a price per square foot basis.
Totally.
Do you see that as well?
Absolutely. And going back to, actually, Hyde Park is a neighborhood with a ton of co-ops. That's a neighborhood that really financed a lot of the fantastic. Actually, some of the buildings have flipped to condo because they were having a hard time selling. Thank you so much for joining us, and please tune in every Monday at 7:30 Chicago time for Monday Morning Coffee with Kyle and Ann, and send us either through private chat or through messaging any ideas that you may have or questions you may have about real estate in Chicago, and we'll try and answer them.
Terrific.